9 seconds in, and starting now. I'm going to be reacting to it and whatnot. I'm going with it. The first part, it was on my previous live, the one that says I was listening to the Carter 10 where I was in the freestyle lyrics. I am gonna see. Oh, I'm gonna share this. Share Instagram, because Instagram. Now I'm at 18 minutes 26 seconds starting now. 18 minutes 26 seconds starting now. 1826. My line up 6 seconds. Yeah. And I'm also gonna be listening to the Jagged Little Pill CD, and probably shortly after that, or we'll do a few tracks on that, and then I'm gonna go into the Alanis Morisette podcast number 21 with Gabor's Mr. Gabor. He's like a doctor from Canada. I can't remember. Gabor Mate Gabor, a harm reduction specialist in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. Talk about when you get through, you'll hear it. Anyway, I'm a firm believer in harm reduction. People are gonna keep doing whatever they do. And I never heard it before, and I just listened to it. This is what came out. This is the very first cut. I'll start it over. Start it again.
Frankly, even beforehand, the development of the brain and the body is affected by the state of the mom and the hormones coursing through her body, and etc. And so the answer, nothing love can't heal.
That's fair.
And so I just thought, okay, so less neuroplasticity, God bless that our circumstance and our environment and our social context can reaffirm it. And I think because of the autonomy movement that was going on for such a long time after the First and Second World War, I think people just went into this autonomy movement of, I can do it all, I don't need anybody else. And certainly that may have afforded in the feminist context inducing bliss that can come from having the attachment generally met.
If you look at the gender ratio of multiple sclerosis in the 30s and early 40s, I think, in Canada at least, and I think it was close in the States as well. It was 2-1, so one male for every female. You know what the gender ratio now is?
I'm scared. No.
About 3.5 women for every. Shot. Okay, that's right. All right. So now that they're out there.
23:06. 23:06. Right at 3 minutes.
The core grandparents, the visiting village friends, like I'm trying to unite people who bring my children and my family, and I've bent over backwards to try and create a sense of village and community and connectivity where we can lean on each other. And I think our bodies are suffering for it. And one of the biggest indicators certainly is hormone movements and a lot of the illnesses in the body says no. I mean,
Hello. 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 Nope.
life and our adaptive, sort of our maladaptive survival strategies that may have served us when we were 6 or 3 by sublimating our authentic selves so that we can get our
Just to
Hello.
I just don't want to misunderstood on something.
It's working.
I'm not suggesting that women should or ought to give up their economic, social, people role. I'm suggesting there needs to be a sharing of the first responsibility. There needs to be a sharing of the care, and that's what doesn't happen.
No, I'm going down purpose. Going to go to a rock concert. Can't have bag. Look out here.
Provisions that they, the proverbial vegan bacon that is brought home, or the provide and protect, sort of long-standing, what does a man provide, So the currency of what they provide is different in modern times, so sharing of the caring is actually a huge masculine provision if it's seen from that place.
And when men do it, it changes them biologically. It actually changes their brain.
And the thing that was said about that for a while was we don't want, a lot of men themselves were like, we don't want this part where testosterone going on. Like, I don't want to be emasculated. And there's all these words.
Attempted to thwart that movement, but what I think is that if the man hetero usually, but any man body can really embrace the fact that it's just contextually, culturally, where the feminist movement and otherwise, where the losing of the patriarchy movement is moving, if it can be framed that this is still a provision. In fact, it's huge. If women are taking on in their bodies, both sides, men are invited to do the same. And there were some comments over the years about people saying that that's not a good thing for the man body. But the problem is that we've gotten to where we've gotten culturally, right? So everyone does have to kind of become wholeified in a way in order to make this work long term for our bodies. Because people, and you say it so beautifully in the body and a lot of your talks around it, that there are certain approaches and coping strategies to life that can pre-indicate either cancer or autoimmune challenges or the tendency to overgive, the tendency to take on too much and live in sort of a chronic re-traumatizing state of stress. So,
well, you know what is the saddest song I know? I often play this at my seminars.
mm-hmm.
It's by Elvis Presley. He sings it.
Yeah.
And it's any way you want me. That's how I'll be. I'll be strong as a mountain or weak as a willow tree. Any way you want me. That's how I'll be. In other words, this pressure.
Yes.
Not to be themselves,
Yes.
but to fit into the environment in a way that they'll be accepted and loved, not for who they are, but for what they provide and the way they show up. It's such a tragic dilemma for so many people.
Yes, and it's the conditions upon which addiction and all of those thrive. It's like I just see the sublimation of the authentic self, and you said it in one of your books. You mentioned the idea that so many of us have to go through this tunnel of a sort of sublimated self, creating a false self, or whatever word we want to use, in order to attempt to adorably, in a sacred way, manipulate getting one's needs met and staying alive, frankly. And then later, the
Right.
effects of that on certainly on our adult relationships, but on our bodies, and
Because that way of being, of getting disconnected from ourselves, and of course, I know you've had Peter Levine on your show, and he's another one of my good colleagues and teachers as well. And Peter points out that the essence of trauma is the disconnection from the self.
yes.
And so we get disconnected from ourselves. And then we have to make up for that emptiness for the rest of our lives by taking on this persona or that persona, or this role or that role. And you mentioned the workaholism before. Well, the workaholism is simply an attempt, at least if I can speak of my own experience of workaholism, which has been a powerful drive in my life, and it's something I continue to need to deal with. In fact, this is something I mentioned. My wife actually last year said to me, "You've written a book called When the Body Says No, you better write one." Say
When your wife said, you're like, hey, it's my next one. By the way, Brian Robinson has single-handedly supported me out of my own work addiction. I'm still in recovery. I'm by no means on any sort of other side at this point, but I feel like he's a very powerful voice in really breaking down that the roots of work addiction start literally when they're pre-verbal, right? It's like they're all planted
Well,
there.
literally, listen, recently I was speaking in Norway. I was giving a talk at a conference, but there were some Norwegian psychotherapists who are friends of mine, and they do a certain kind of therapy, which she actually is going to bring to LA in February, but I'm not going to go into the details of it, except they said, well, how would you like to have a session with us? Finally, I said, what came up through the resonance of other people that picked up the energies within me is that my mother didn't want me. Now, it's not that she didn't want me as such, it's that under the conditions of Nazi occupation and Jews under the threat of the genocide, she really would have had mixed feelings about bringing a child into the world.
Of course.
And I would pick up on that in utero.
Of course.
And so my workaholism, of course, is one way to compensate for that.
Yes.
Because, as I've said in my talk sometimes, if you want to be wanted, go to medical school. Because
you'll be needed.
Because you'll be needed, which is not the same as being wanted,
Or
but it's the next thing, or love. Next thing, and precisely the reason it's addictive, because it's never enough. So you have to keep having more and more and more, because the love and the wanted still isn't there. And so Dr. Vincent Felitti, who's a wonderful researcher and physician in San Diego, said that it's hard to get enough of something that almost works. So the workaholism momentarily makes you feel that you want it and appreciate it, which of course you are for what you're providing. But the inner self.
All right.
So that I had to meet people. I'll meet you 90%, and you can meet me 10 if you feel like it. And so just my tendency to look at over generosity or over servicefulness or whatever it is, it's all under that umbrella of work addiction, and it just makes sense.
Yes, well, it's a hypertrophy. It's a hypertrophy of a real part of yourself.
Yes.
But it's a hypertrophy.
Broadcasting live outside
And it
over
becomes,
muscularity.
and it becomes hard to treat, I would imagine, too. It certainly has been in my case, because a lot of the feedback would be, well, you're generous, Alanis. And I was like, I'm generous.
You get.
Wait. I'm generous, but
But
this is extreme. Like, this is to the point, you talk about addiction, any behavior that gives you temporary relief, temporary pleasure, but in the long term causes harm and negative consequences, and you can't give it up despite those negative consequences. So, work addiction, if we just focus on that one for a hot second, the consequences of chronic cortisol. You spoke about in one of your books about how a lot of kids are given cortisol and stress-inducing hormones in order to address asthma and certain chronic conditions, because, and I think Peter Levine talks about this maybe, where the cortisol is so chronically high to the point of it being, in my opinion, to the point of it being traumatizing, and that at some point Yeah, tell me. You're the doctor.
Dan
Yeah.
Siegel, I was listening to your Dan Siegel podcast, and he mentioned this. The cortisol in the short term
It
is
goes
great.
down.
But chronically elevated, it'll make you sick. And
And it goes
in all
down,
kinds
right? So they'll test you for cortisol levels and they'll be precipitously
Yeah.
low. But that's not because the person has low stress. It's because the mechanism, you would have better words for this. But somehow the
It's
mechanism shuts down.
the mechanism is exhausted.
Yes.
The mechanism is exhausted.
Yes.
And so now we have to give people extra stress hormones just to keep their bodies going. And this is true not just for children. If you actually look at cortisol or steroids, they're the commonest medication, whether you go to a lung specialist or a gut specialist or a dermatologist or a
They do that
rheumatologist.
for
Or,
anti-inflammation.
it's anti-inflammatory, but it's really is the stress hormone. And so the question we as physicians ought to be asking ourselves is, if we're having to treat so many conditions with stress hormone, could stress have something to do with the onset of these conditions? And why aren't we looking at that? It's such a simple question.
It is, and it's so valid because, especially with this information of how cortisol drops when it's been chronically maxed out in the red for too long. Because it can be misleading. You know, if someone takes those tests and they find their levels are low, they'll think, oh, my stress
Right.
levels are low, but it's just shut down at some point.
But in the meanwhile, the elevated cortisol levels will ulcerate your intestines, thin your bones, make you depressed, put fat on your, put unhealthy fat on your belly in a way that predisposed to heart disease,
Yeah.
and it can also even suppress the immune system.
Yes.
This is chronically elevated levels of cortisol. So this game of I should call it a game.
The situation.
This situation of getting the mind-body unity and how about our emotions and our emotional makeup and the stories we had to tell ourselves as children in order to survive. Those same stories are now keeping us in prison.
Yes.
And within our own it's just such an essential conversation.
Yes, and then in terms of addressing, well, there's a few aspects to this. So the what I've done the spiritual emptiness, the emotional pain.
Do I stress you out? My sweater's on backwards and inside. You say how appropriate.
Furthering of the attachment hunger.
I don't want to
developmental
dissect
needs that are not
everything
met.
today. I don't mean to pick you apart, you see, but I can't help it. And there I go jumping before the gunshot has gone off. Slap me with the Spencer ruler. It would knock me to the floor if I wasn't there already. Slap me right beneath the hunter. Yeah. And what I really want is patience. Who wants you to know I'm happy no more? Times is never. Who's in? Who's other kids? Sometimes never.
It's the straight up human condition.
Bad.
We have our developmental needs and tasks that we would ideally meet from the good enough
I'm
parenting
poor, but I'm
situation.
kind.
And
I'm
it's not met.
but I'm
And we walk around with
healthy.
this
Yeah.
whole. So also,
I'm high, but I'm rounded.
not being mirrored
I'm
accurately.
sane, but I'm
As a young person, I had a
overwhelmed.
lot of mirroring around
But
indigenous
I'm
and around
hopeful,
being a writer.
baby.
Didn't have
And what it all
all
comes
these
down
other areas that
to
are just sort of day-to-day human, whether it's
is that
strength,
no
or
one's
whether
gonna
it's,
be
the
fine,
capacity
fine,
for intellectual, I didn't even know I was
fine.
smart. I mean, some might
One
confess
hand
that.
in
I
my
think I figured out that I was
pocket,
I'm a
the other one
therapist in
is
my
having a
30s.
high
I had no idea. And so much of the lack of mirroring and reflection toward young
I
children.
feel drunk, but I'm sober. I'm young and I'm underpaid. I'm tired, but I'm working it, yeah. I'm here, but I'm restless. I'm here, but I'm really gone. I'm young and I'm sorry, baby. And when it all comes down
But of course, you've
to
also done your inner work.
Yeah.
So you've got this combination
is
of
that
inner work
everything's gonna be
coupled with that really
alright.
prodigious intelligence, you know. It's
Oh,
not
but
your
I've
average
got
human
one
being.
hand
Let me
in
tell
my
you.
pocket, and it's
You know,
grabbing
I
a
feel
big
I can't
bladder
even, I feel like I have to
always.
pinch myself sometimes even having
Always
this
grabbing.
conversation with you
It's
because
most valuable
even
tool in
though
my
I'm, you know, I'm
toolbelt.
sort of
Flick in my
archetypally
bit.
known as a musician, certainly I am, and an
Oh,
artist and a writer
that's the
and
one thing
a, you know,
I
performer.
will
I
steal
just
from
feel like
somebody
this
on
was always
accident.
my back pocket
If I don't have
secret.
one with me, I will get one.
You know, propensity toward understanding the human condition from science and brain, somatic, art,
I've had one
movement,
since I was freaking 7 years old. I had
all the
one in my
systems,
pocket.
endocrine system, etheric, all of it. You know, we're
Come
such
down
gorgeously
to
simple and wildly complex creatures. You know, I
it
think
all
we
figured
overly
out just
complicate
yet. I
what we
haven't got
are
it all
in so
figured
many
out yet, but
ways,
I got
and
some
then I
stuff
think
figured out,
we
Oh
y'all.
yeah,
I got
underestimate
one
agreed.
hand
and
in my
underdiagnose,
pocket, and the other one is
overdiagnose.
figured
I
out
just feel like there's a way
time.
to master this funny little human experience.
I'm
But
not a
I
crook,
think if you've said this
but I'm
in various
focused.
ways over the
I'm
years,
green, but I'm
looking
wise.
toward the solution,
But I'm
you know,
bold.
whether, you know,
I'm
people
hard, but
think
I'm
that,
friendly.
you know, the
Oh.
Band-Aid of, oh, it's a war on
I'm
drugs, we need
sad,
to
but
spend
I'm
a shit ton of
laughing.
money putting people
I'm
in jail,
brave, but I'm
punishing them,
chicken
shaming
shit
them,
bingo.
instead of
But
putting
I'm
money toward
pretty,
understanding the human condition,
baby. And what it all
educating people,
comes down
elucidating
to,
the
boils
idea
down
of
to,
developmentalism and what tasks that
is that no
ideally
one's got it
need to
really
kind of
figured
check off
out
on the
just
box
yet. We
as
got
we
it
go
wrong, though.
along.
We know we got
Cumulative,
fucked up
you
shit
know,
going on. We
and
know
then
it.
the
Fucking system's
sacredness
broken,
of
y'all. We know
the
it ain't
imago
working, y'all.
process
We know
of
that much. You know we
gotten
got to go
to,
something.
you know,
Does
just talking about
we
how to
keep trying the same
correct
shit and
Sue
expecting different
Johnson's
results? That's
corrective
insanity. That's
action
insanity. Y'all
in
jumping off the
adult
cliff for fucking
relationships.
centuries
You know,
and shit.
so
I ain't
there's
jumping off.
hope, there's ways to do this, but
I got
if
conflicting
the
data, y'all.
onus and the focus were to be
I
put
beg to differ.
on
My
what's really
motherfucking
going on
information is
underneath all this, then some of the focus could be taken
no.
off
I
of
don't got
the
no holes in my cheek.
completely
I
useless
don't got no holes in my. I'm not saying
of the war on
don't
drugs.
jump
You
into
know, it's like
smoking
your
Marlboro. I'm not.
punishment
No,
doesn't
I've
work.
never
The
held
war
a
on
Texas
drugs is
can.
not working.
I'm telling you.
Addictions haven't
I'm telling you.
stopped.
Well,
That's
so
the worst habit I ever
let's
picked
make
up.
a different assumption.
Was a
Okay.
freaking
Let's make the assumption
was
that the war on
Marlboros.
drugs is working.
I'm picking
Okay.
cigarettes in general.
So, for example, if you have
But
depression,
I don't
if
know.
you're at
I
war
mean, I
with
can't say that
depression,
now because
that depends
I
very
just
much
regret it
on
probably the
which
most out of
individual
things
you are.
because
If
it smells bad, it tastes
stopped
bad.
terrorism, so-called,
Like
or
like when other
immediate
people
terrorism,
you
it would pose another
they kiss you or
failure.
not or
But what
whatever.
if the purpose was to make a
All
lot of
right, back
money
to
for the
this is
tobacco manufacturers
a right three
and to
man.
enhance the power of the U.S.
You
military?
mispronounced
Then it
my
could make
name.
sense.
You didn't wait for all the information before you turned me away. Wait a minute, sir.
Exactly understanding religion.
You kinda hurt my
It could
feelings.
do a lot of work.
You see me as a sweet back loaded poppet, and you've got meal ticket taste.
Love the one.
If you see right through you,
If you love the one. If you
I
love the
walk
one,
right through you.
spend so much of your time crossing your
Woo,
fingers
woo,
that the results of other
you.
people.
Y-O-U-U,
You're
not
lucky.
no.
If you're
Right
confident
through, woo,
and
woo. I'll punch right
focused
through you.
being down into the
Right,
guts of
straight
the
through
issue,
5 finger death
tough
punch.
times, you love the one.
Well, wait a minute.
So again,
Okay.
that's the main problem.
No
Everything
filters,
else
no, no,
works.
no. Took me for a joke.
If
You
you
took me for a child.
at face value,
You took a long, hard look at my lot and said you'd swim for a while. You shake us like a fish.
would agree
You
and
pat me on the head.
from
Took me out the wine 969 me, and I said, no, it's just for you, ladies first. Yeah, look. Right through, woo, 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 you. I know right through, woo, woo, you. We'll look right through, woo, woo, yeah. I don't know how I can do it. I can make it sounds, I don't know if it sounds like that to y'all, but
yeah, yeah.
hello, Mr. Man. You didn't think I'd come back. You didn't think I'd show up with my army with all the ammunition on my back. I'm a thing. I'm a thing. Now that I'm a zillionaire.
Struggle
Credits for your name, and Alanis is right freaking
to
there.
recognize exactly what's going on. In other words, I couldn't share my insights, but that's because I could recognize
I
something
walk
that
right
was
through
not
you.
now.
It's fun. That's why it reminds me. It reminds me of my youth. That's why I sing it. If I, it's like I used to sing this whole CD like every other night when I was a kid. The aforementioned previous cast, previous lives, Miss Ruckert's daughter, Jody. This was back and forth between this CD and Green Day Dookie. Hi, hi. We make up for no much time because we do it all the time first, y'all. I done did the time for sure. I fucking it ain't in my wheelhouse, y'all. Ever forgot it? Confusing as it was. The fire, the savior, who's I'll go back to the podcast.
And then an invitation ultimately is to really look at the childhood trauma and and work through it. And there's tons of resources for that, a lot of which I can share on the website of this podcast.
So far, I agree with everything you said, and for those people that are able to take that abstinence step, that's totally great, and the talks are so wonderful.
Nobody's
but there's no one size fits all.
Nobody's quitting fucking drugs.
Some people
I'm sorry, they've never stopped them.
never
They've never
do
stopped
that.
any
The question
kind
is now, should they be
anybody from getting high on anything. Everybody's getting high. Everybody's raising their dopamine. Everybody's raising their dopamine. I'm sorry. You're exercising, you're getting a runner's high. You get high on religion, anything to raise your dopamine levels. Say sexual orgasm, 150 dopamine levels. Heroin, 300. You'll never catch that first one ever again. You'll chase it the rest of your addiction, and you either give up, you'll find a balance, and you give up, or you will die. Usually, in my experience when it comes to heroin, with people. The only heroin I've ever done is heroin-based ecstasy and a straight opium. But before fentanyl hit the scene, y'all could anybody, a human could smoke any drug on the streets and never overdose. If you smoke too much cocaine, you overamp and you go to sleep. Too much heroin or opium. You can smoke a dynasty's whole freaking family fortune away in opium den and never die. Heroin, same thing. You just overamp, go to sleep. You can smoke. I smoked Vicodin pills before. 5 over 500, 5 over 3 or 325s. Smoke mushrooms. They don't really do anything with smoking. Not for me anyway. Not my experience. But anyway, before fentanyl, yeah, you can smoke anything. You smoke too much meth, you over or amphetamine or methamphetamine, you'll overamp and go to sleep. But they've never ever been able to stop drug use. Making it illegal is what makes it dangerous. Very much like prostitution. They've never been able to stop prostitution. Making it illegal is what makes it dangerous. Because then people get forced into it because all the ones that want to do it are doing it so secretly that they're hiding themselves from dangerous people because you need a certain amount of security. And so if you mess up and you hire the wrong security, you get this person that they end up trying to be your pimp, so quote unquote, taking all your money, and then they want the product for free. You got the product, whether it be male or female, whatever you are, whatever. Anyway, like. If you need security, you can't do it at your house because you get stalkers, and it's not legal, so you can't be like I said, you can't. It's not like the opposite building for it. And I got freaking hair, wild hair growing up. Anyway, so you can't walk the streets because you'll get busted walking the streets. So you hire security, you set a rate or whatever, and then they find out you're making more or something like that, or they decide they're going to start taking it for free and they just take you over, or and then people are getting forced to do it. That's wrong. There's plenty of people that are willing to do it. It's the very first job, the very first transaction that ever happened between a human being and another human being, like paid for transaction, was prostitution. How do you make that illegal when it's the very first job that ever existed? It means it bankrolled every other job. Every other job was to pay for that originally. How can you make that illegal? That's wrong. I mean, they've never stopped. They've never stopped it. It needs to be put an age limit on it. You gotta be this old to do it. Have houses where where they go to offices where they go to work, and regulate it and put real security where if something happens, they can call authorities. They gotta be, as long as if the authorities are fucking not crooked like they are around here. Yeah, like they're running women and children around here. They're doing fucked up shit around here. I mean, every fiber of my being feels that like.
Disconnect, suffer, so to open those up, it's less about.
It's messed up. The Lago Vista CVS, last they were I don't know if they're still doing it, but they were refusing to sell syringes. I'm not an interventionist. I'm scared of needles for my own personal reason. I'm blessed. I'm glad for that because I probably would not be here if I because I partied too hard. Especially I really thought I was gonna die at 27. But it's wrong. They should sell me all. They should sell them to anybody because they're gonna do it no matter what. You want them to do it safely and cleanly, and because it promotes promoting disease and endangering our community, our whole community.
Nothing in that environment supports spontaneous involvement of growth. So then these people who are then, first of all, they were probably driven people like me who had been in darkness for some inner reason.
Exactly. I think it's illegal. The fact that you're not. It's a code of ethics. You're supposed to sell them to anybody. Everywhere else does. Every other CVS does.
That's not satisfied. So there's people who
I don't know how they can have a different policy just because it's Lago Vista. Well, how come you can't?
Highly restricted, highly regulated, and for many people highly sanitized. And then they're supposed to go out there and build people.
It's like, we'll abuse the people who are going to go help, quote unquote, help other people. Yeah.
If you look at a lot of countries,
just in case somebody anywhere I'm at, someone falls out, you can't.
I come back and is what I really wish for the club is the club that you said are great. And I mean, they're not just great for alcoholics or addicts, they're great for everybody, But missing from their perspective is the trauma that instigated the behavior in the first place. And Bill W. the founder of the day, he was strange about it, making obvious things. He was an abandoned child. He was a highly traumatized human being. They never talk about that. Or if they talk about, or at least it's not part of the program. I know in some groups in there that may come up, but usually it's more about the behavior and the so-called disease of addiction than about the underlying trauma that's driving.
Yes, and the idea
This is like Norcan. You really just I need to have a bigger one. Because when you're going to put it, so fill up as much as all of it. And
That's right.
make sure you get all the air out of it, like you see on, just like you see on, and then you in the muscle, like butt cheek, thigh, arm, upper bicep. And you can't hurt somebody by giving this to them. If they were to pass out for any reason, you can give it to them just in case. You can't. It's just a Norcan. They'll be pissed off if they're opiate users. They won't be able to get high the rest of the day. But if it saves their life, that's not why they went down. It won't do any harm to them.
terms are synonymous, but the idea of being empathic is trauma informed because, you know,
I've never used it on myself because I'm afraid of needles. Like, I'm not afraid I'm not afraid of them. I just don't.
connectivity, mirror neurons. It's what we were born to do.
They,
Do this together.
like whenever I was like 20 years old, they collapsed my left, like my left arm is
It's great.
the vein on the inside of my elbow, like the vein.
It's great that there's so many more forms of therapy that are being developed based on that principle. And Mr. Johnson and a bunch of other people as well. What makes trauma important?
I had very low blood pressure. They were trying to draw blood on me. And we was out of jail, and they were letting a new guy practice on me. And when I came to, there were 17 tries on this one, and they were about to let him keep going. Keep practice on this one. And I was like, y'all mind let me get some experience on this? Now I think I was the guy training with him. Like now in the hospitals, when I go to the hospital, they go in the back of my hand. You can't. I think it's freaking John Norris. This is a phlebotomist dream, is what they say. If they put me in medical isolation, I knew I was going to jail. They give me the max sentence on a Class B misdemeanor, so I was going for 6 months. I was going to do a minimum 3 because you get 2 for 1. I was planning on working while I was in there, and I did it later on at the end of it. But they put me in medical isolation because they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. They never asked me what was wrong with me. But if they couldn't figure out, they should have sent me to the hospital. If they'd asked me, I told them. I took 20 freaking milligrams of alprazolam, 10 Xanax bars. Because I didn't want to go into the nasty holding tanks in their booking. Because they're overcrowded. They don't give you any blankets. It's gross. The toilet's right there. You sitting on the floor. They put way more too many people in there. And I'd rather be on the benches watching the TV. It worked. I didn't go in there. I got my own cell. Got isolated for 60 days straight, solitary confinement. Until I wrote a letter saying that I said I was gonna report him to I said, you need to find a job for me, get me out of this thing, put me to work, so I can get my trust you, so I get 3 for 1 to get out. Because I worked in the world, and I should be able to work in here. Anyway, I put ADA, American Disabilities Association. I could be correct or not. It's also the American Dental Association. But they probably thought I meant assistant district attorney because they were going to have me beat up on the unit. But when I got to the unit, I was like, hey, y'all can get a paper clip, get some heat from now there, and move some solder from this side of my glasses to this side of my glasses, solder my glasses. Oh, yeah, he's only one of us.
And I'm still finding myself having to remove these core beliefs or challenge them.
But if they would ask me what was wrong with me, I would have told them. They never asked me. But that's still not a reason for them not to send me to the hospital. If they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me, they should have sent me somewhere who could figure it out. They should not have helped me, put me in isolation.
There's a sadness that I have knowing, because I often ask that to myself.
Solitary confinement of any type is not good, It sucks. It's like it's debilitating. I recommend if you ever end up in a situation like that, God forbid, draw a friend on the wall and get to talking. Like I am now. Y'all are my friend on the wall. Because I'm over here in a giant cell, isolated. The opposite of addiction is community. Therefore, the opposite of community is addiction. So you isolate somebody because you think they're doing something that you don't like or whatever. You assume that. You just push them towards some kind of addiction. I'm addicted to fucking broadcasting and playing my music and listening to music because it gets me high as hell. It keeps my dopamine levels through the roof, but
having said that,
but dopamine, we're all trying to get dopamine up. When you're born, your dopamine levels are 1,200. Roughly, they're over 1,000. Like I don't know the exact numbers on what they are, but they're quite high. It's the only time in your life where you can learn multiple languages at once. You learn how to talk, walk, feed yourself. Your body grows the most social development, most mental development, most all your development, the most percentage-wise of everything developed at that time.
You know, as Harville Hendricks talked about,
It's
like,
the
lost
most
hidden denied
positive, like,
parts, which you talked about too, like
forward movement
having all
as
these parts
a being.
have sort of, they've been
Like, it's like,
dormant or they've been
you know,
relegated.
you
Or
can, I believe the happiness heals, y'all. Like, I've seen it,
I mean, the journey of
like on myself multiple
returning
times.
to wholeness, not creating wholeness, but returning to it is such a sacred journey to me. And
Y'all want to come inside and do this
I don't know if
interview?
it's cynical.
Or come get me and set me up?
I'm not sure
Or take me somewhere else?
I feel like I've arrived as such. I don't know. Maybe. If I do, I'll call you.
Well,
I'm calling.
all I'm saying is don't be judged, you know?
Yeah.
Because
Feel.
don't assume that it's going to happen to be just a tough struggle and so on. Because I can tell you, from my perch as a 74-year-old, you know,
That's
Yes,
positive.
well, I'm glad I'm not as troubled and conflicted as I was at the stupid young age of 71. You know, so
You were a young buck.
I know, a young buck. Yeah, I'm still a promising young man.
We have a big future ahead of you.
But I'm, but I'm serious about that. So that
Yes.
really, I've learned. I know that I'm so much. There is that essence.
Yeah, you
There's
go-
that core
if you wanna
self,
call me
which the spiritual
directly.
masters teach and embody. And you know,
reach
I
me at
don't claim to be one of those people at all. But I can tell you, I'm much closer to myself. I feel that.
Mess up
And at
my
times,
life.
I really believe in myself. I really do.
And can I
And
ask
so,
you a question that's a little specific? I don't
Yeah,
know. So when you say I have a sense of, you didn't say these words exactly, but a version of you have a sense of yourself, where is that localized? Because I've become obsessed lately with where the localization of self is in my body. And you know, because on the continuum of experience of splitting or otherwise, you know, there's everything from Richard Schwartz sort of functional self-embracing dialogue.
Yeah.
And then on the other end, it's, you know, it's dissociative identity disorder, parts.
yeah,
You know,
or ADD, which is another form of dissociation, you know. Anyway, so what I would say in response to that question is to ask you who's asking the question. And it's your mind asking the question. And your mind will never get the answer.
Right, because the ego can't find out about spirit as such. It can chase words, right? But it can't really have a physical embodied experience of that which is beyond ego in a way. Is that what you mean?
Well, again, you know, this is a conversation between two minds, and we're talking about something that's maybe beyond the mind. But again, to go back to your interview with Dan Siegel, I heard him at some point speak about some transcendental, deep, oceanic experience where he felt we got the unity, and he got the love, and he got the oneness of everything.
The
Right?
wheel of awareness, almost.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, those experiences are available. I've never had it.
No,
In
the glimpse of the
anywhere near-
divine.
No, I've never had it in that clear sense. I may have, in certain situations, had some glimpses, you know, but I can't say that I've had that experience. But I totally know what he's talking about, even though I can't say I've had the experience. Part of me knows the truth of what he's talking about.
Yeah,
When I can't claim to have
direct experience.
consciously had that direct experience, you know.
Yeah.
Well, the fact that I know the truth of what he's talking about tells me that yes, I'm here, you know, because
Yes.
that's the part that knows. That's the part that knows.
Yes, there is.
And
this
when you ask me where that
the
embodied,
localization.
all I can tell you is that when I'm speaking to you now, and I'm not claiming that this is the spot. I'm just telling you what I'm experiencing at the moment,
I want to know.
which is here at the center of my bottom lower center of actually it's about my solar plexus is where it is actually, just below the chest cavity, and just you know, and whatever chakra that is, whatever plexus that is.
Power.
That's where it's speaking to for me at this moment, and I don't want to make any claims for it.
Yeah,
I'm
it
just
might
saying,
be different and at another time maybe, or not.
yeah, but what I'm saying is that whatever it is, it's experiential, and it's not something the mind can answer.
Yes, and I love the who's asking that, you know, and the big sort of
Yeah.
repeated inquiry of who am I, what, you know, those incredible dyads you can get into where you go all the way down into, you know, what is love and who am I, and really can access.
You've done that in I'm an intensive process, is that right?
Yeah, I've taken a lot of trainings and gone to different workshops. I've had a lot of teachers, and then I'm now in a privileged position to be a student and teacher. So I love teaching, and I facilitate all kinds of experiential exercises whereby people can access aspects of themselves that have been outside of their awareness. And also for me, I'm putting on an embodiment symposium in the new year, just approaching the body from certainly somatic experiencing and trauma-informed awareness, all the way, right down to,
Okay. So let me ask you that.
yeah,
So you've done all this work, and you actually have gained all this mastery, and you're doing all this teaching.
sort of, yeah.
Have you?
Yeah, I'm in the middle
Well,
of it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So in all that, have you had a sense of what the answer to your question is? Of where it's located. Have you ever had any sort of even momentary
Sense of where it's localized.
sense of it or touch of it? Have you? I'm not even asking you to
Yes.
tell me
Yes.
where in your body it is, but I'm just asking you if you've had that sense or not.
Well, I could actually answer both. Yes, I've had the sense of it.
Okay.
And interestingly enough, it was an IFS session. And
Okay.
and what happens with me is oftentimes, and I think this may be a common phenomenon, is a lot of times I've mistaken this sort of oneness, allness, suchness, capital S self, with the sort of maternal mom part of me. So a lot of times they want to blend, but once I kind of unblend them and ask them to sit next to me so that I can access the capital S self, the oneness part that is not subject to duality, and then it's all over. It's not in my face, it's not in my throat, it's the entire being. I feel it's very warm, very compassionate. Richard talks about he's creative, compassionate. And so,
Okay. Well, if that's the case, then that answers your question. Will it be decades more of intense therapy? No, it doesn't need to be. It just needs to be not just. It's not just. It's not simple. It's not easy, but it needs to be more contact with that very part of you, or with that self of yours. And the more we're in touch with that, the less therapy we actually need. Now, it's also true.
I don't know if you can say that about all.
In Santa Cruz in March, it's possible to have great spiritual experiences, but not that's right. I'm not really in which case these wonderful events that people experience just become memories or even close to the ego. But nevertheless, if one knows not to do that spiritual bypass, then I do think that the more that connection exists, the less therapy is required.
But ultimately, isn't there a facilitation back to that? I mean, that's ultimately, I think, what we're all going in to receive is love and that sense of one link between all of us. We want the ocean, and we're these adorable, incredible, well-meaning drops. We're, a lot of us maladapted all over the place, but we're yearning for the ocean and that which is not subject to duality. So that would be the antidote to the fear of thinking that therapy would have to continue even after the grave.
But by the way, if it does have to continue, I say so be it.
Oh yeah, it's all like a fluffing back to the original wholeness. So it's a sacred act. It's a sacred journey. But speaking to the epitaph that you have, it is a lot more work than I thought. But you know what? It's work that I'm up for, because the other option is to shut down and frankly to be consumed by these addictive processes and people and behaviors and die. So I mean, I'm gonna die, but I'd like to stay as long as possible.
I don't believe in death anymore.
Well, we're all going to die, but
Why are we all going to die?
One of my spiritual teachers, we don't have to commit suicide.
Why? I mean,
Yes.
Adam and Eve, we have to live eternally until that first sin.
But also just by shutting down.
Where the punishment was the creation of death and hell.
This vitality, I mean, so much of the urge and the cravings.
Before that, they lived eternally right here on earth in the Garden of Eden. And I believe that Jesus died for our sins, all of our sins, past, present, and future. And when the past sins were forgiven, goes all the way back to the very first sin. And when that sin was forgiven, the punishment's over. Why would we be forgiven if the punishment? Why would the punishment be on if it was forgiven? Then,
to support.
I mean, that's what I believe. I mean, if you say that it's not, then you don't believe that the sins were forgiven,
Self-serving.
or you don't believe in Jesus at all. You might believe he existed, you might believe he died, but you don't believe he died for the sins.
When
Then
you look at the origins of
you can't. There's no logic if it's that. I mean, why would? Then what was the point of forgiving them? If the punishment's still on, it's not forgiven. Okay,
the more Mark was being diagnosed, and
yeah, you stop.
you know, the whole
punishing
idea that it's a
them.
genetic disorder, they consider it to be the most heritable mental illness there is.
The earth will grow with
First
us.
of all, I don't think it's an illness.
The Big Bang
And
is no
secondly, I
longer a
don't think it's
theory.
heritable.
It's bigger as long as we don't go into living, as long as we're not living in excess. Yeah, if we have more vacant places than there are people,
and
then we are living in excess.
escaping or fighting back or seeking help, their brains will automatically
A person doesn't need 5 houses or more than one house.
Is there an
I mean,
element of the,
It's not. You can't have a home without.
It's the same.
I don't have. I have a house, but not a home.
It's
the dark?
it's chaotic. It's chaotic.
I would love to have the house full of people.
But those are both
living here.
to get away from the present
I
moment.
have trust issues now. I have trust issues now,
For the young infant, if the
because
parents
of
are
these
stressed,
false charges they
then
put on me and lies and all,
and there's
putting me in the way
no
that putting life sentence charges on me.
or you're scattered.
Which they didn't get indictments on any of the felony
And
ones,
this is happening when the brain is developed.
which is
So
trash.
that gets programmed into the brain as the default setting of the brain. So what begins as a coping mechanism now is later on termed the pathology. But what I'm saying about, by the way, I just have to really clarify here. I'm not blaming parents. I think that, you know, yeah, you know, but a lot of people think I'm blaming parents. I just want to be clear that I'm not. I'm not talking about bad parenting. I'm talking about stressed parenting. And in society, there's so much stress on young parents, much more than there needs to be. For
no
reasons.
villages, we're all losing our classes.
Exactly.
We're all isolated.
I mean, I'm not telling you to believe what I believe,
Especially the hypersensitive kids
but
are very stressed. And so their
I
brains
hope.
will
I wish
scatter.
you. I mean, but I'm done hoping, wishing, and wanting, and praying for change. Like, things are broken. The system is not working. What we have in place.
Another question we have to ask
It's keep going forward, doing doing the same shit over and over again, expecting different results. That's insanity, yo.
and then how to
Insanity is not crazy. I'm definitely crazy.
Maybe when they were
First definition, OED, the Oxford English Dictionary, OED.
relationship was in trouble.
First definition roughly is, my translation, but it's not verbatim. In other words,
But these kids are highly sensitive to the environment. And it's the environment.
you think you're interject, you're enthusiastic, and you're eccentric about things you're passionate about.
You would see them and feel them.
Yeah, the things that you're
And in
passionate
that
for.
condition, they haven't been developed.
I loved it. I mean, it's fantastic. I wish everybody was that kind of crazy.
Got a much more.
More agency
I mean,
around supporting it.
That's exactly it. That's exactly. You have agency and you have possibility, as opposed to all we can do is medicate. And by the way, I'm not totally against medication. I'm
Sometimes
taking
it's
it myself.
appropriate, yeah, sometimes.
They totally. I'm just not the answer. They're not the answer. They're
Not a
stopgap.
long-term, yeah, not a long-term answer. And
No.
one of the things that you're bringing to.
You cannot comment. I got no filters on
and
here. I
in
shouldn't have
general
any.
is this quality of curiosity, you have to look under the hood. And so many
No.
people, when they're in the mode of self-harm or they're in a mode of being
No,
driven by addiction,
I give 100% to people right off the jump.
and narcissism and
You gotta subscribe to my channel now to be able to comment on it.
the idea of curiosity and the willingness to go, well, what's happening here? All these points.
It makes you get a new sense of renewal, like in humans, like in human beings in general.
Inward-looking creatures, introspective teachers, to know that their voice is needed now more than ever, because what we've been doing isn't working. Now more than ever, because what we've been doing isn't working.
First